Yes, and we're here again with another Jazz Matters podcast. Our guest today, of course, is the one and only Mr. Haywood Redd, saxophonist, also audio engineering, uh, audio visual. It seems like everything. But in this, we're going to have him today. Of course, you know, we have my co-host, Von Coulter, and with Jazz Beats Radio. We're going to go ahead and start with Haywood right now. Now, at Jazz Beats Radio, you can go to yesjazzmatters.org and get you to like us and subscribe also. We also have an online store. It's an apparel store. Go ahead and check that out and order you a nice T-shirt. There are lots of different slogans and so forth on them. So we want everybody to get into the family and go ahead and get yours as soon as possible. Yeah, and like Vaughn is holding, checking it out, but he's put his hands over it. I don't know why. Yep, there you go. There you go. But anyway, in the studio with us here, Vaughn, Haywood is here now, and we want to go ahead and start. Haywood, let everybody that don't know you find out who you are, where you're from, and how you got started in the music business.
My name is Haywood Redd. Saxophonist primarily. Originally from Atlanta. I started playing saxophone at 8 years old. I've been addicted ever since. Started about the 4th grade. And, I started out just playing a school band and gradually started trying to learn songs off of records and so forth. One of the first songs I learned was Sunny. Learned off a Stanley Turrentine album. My uncle had. And it kind of, went along like that. I was in band from 4th grade all through college and was a music major in school. Attended Morehouse College in 75, graduated 79. Played in various bands around town. I've mostly been a weekend warrior type because had that day job thing going. I was in the insurance business for up to 2009. And so, I played when I could. Sometimes I, played on the weekends and so forth. A lot of folks around town, basically, including Edwin Williams experience, of course. Mm-hmm. And one of the main things I'm really concentrate on now is private music lessons and education. I really feel a mission to rise up some new musicians, make some more saxophone players.
Right.
And it almost started out as a thing as a necessity because I needed the money at first. But now it's the joy of my life, to have these little kids come in, because I always had good band teachers. I mean, from the beginning, I can't think of one that was not, I was just blessed that way to always have good band teachers all the way through college. I mean, people that paid attention to you and were generally there, not just because of the job, but they actually wanted to see you learn how to play. Maybe they just saw that in me, I don't know. But, it just made me want to pursue it that much more. And I like to pass that on to these younger kids coming along. Now, I do have my ulterior motive in that. And that I'm hoping that one of them, I know all of them are not going to go out and be musicians. That would be unrealistic. But I'm hoping that one or two of them will get out here and bring us some more positive music to try to disinfect the airways. I don't want to call y'all any names, but y'all know who I'm talking about.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm hoping that some of them will come along. There's nothing wrong with pop music. I love pop music. I've listened to all kinds of music, rock, funk, jazz, you name it, classical music. As a matter of fact, I play in a classical ensemble, the Peachtree Wind Ensemble, as well in Fayette County. Of course, it's on hiatus now because of and it's just a volunteer thing. We get paid for it, but it's just kind of something to keep you reading up and that kind of thing, and something to do. You know,
Yeah.
we do about probably 4 concerts a year.
Oh, okay.
Christmas, 4th of July, and so on.
Right.
But yeah, back to the teaching, and it's not. Besides my ulterior motive, it's been proven that music actually helps not just children but adults as well to keep your mind sharp.
Yes, sir.
Especially in the areas of math and critical thinking. And this is well documented that this is the case. So I feel there's a legitimate reason for school systems and society in general to put more emphasis on music and positive music, and the rudiments are not just, you know, the electronic thing, which I love as well. I love the electronic, I love the drum machines and all that, but everything has its place. You know, it's just cool if you know what you're putting in that drum machine.
Right. Exactly.
So that's where I am with it, and I'm thankful to you guys showing me to come on your show today.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. And you mentioned something about like your teaching young kids. Do you feel like the young kids that are taking music lessons and so forth, are they really are they being taught the culture and the heritage of jazz? I know a lot of instructors that will teach the student, especially the young students, the basics as far as what they need to do with the notes, you know, note value and so forth. But the cultural aspect of what they're trying to teach them. If a child wants to be a great saxophone player, of course he'll have to learn the basics. But when he gets farther along, you know, you have to talk to him and show him and try to direct him into the cultural aspects and heritage of the music, especially when he knows that you play jazz or you play, you know, this, that, or the other, or even gospel or whatever. There's a culture under the music that causes it to be what it is. And in that culture, like today, do you think that the culture has been basically underserved? Let's say it like that, through the community now with the musicians now that are in the field of jazz, because right now their culture seems to be more of the rhythm and blues culture, which actually, you know, it came out of jazz, true that, but the thing is, it has also gone into something totally different. You know, in other words, it's more of a chant now versus back in when you're dealing with straight ahead jazz or something, you're dealing with the closest thing to classical music, which is moods, you know, and different variations within one song, you know, of the music. So you get a lot of different feels in it. Whereas now the only thing that is concentrated on that I hear in the music that's being played today, especially that is being played on the radio consistently, let's say mainstream radio, is the music that does not have that. You know, they write songs today that don't even have a bridge, or you know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's not that it had never been done. You know, it's the fact that, you know, that's what a lot of the young people are locked into, because it's that one almost atonal sound, you know, that they're hearing all day, all night, and it doesn't change. So it's, to me, it's kind of interesting, where I thought maybe they were not brought up in the culture of jazz music. What do you think, Haywood?
Well, I mean, you kind of hit on it. A lot of that is marketing. And of course, that's always been the case for a while now with straight ahead jazz, blues, even now, the traditional rock and roll is sort of taking a back seat.
Right.
You know, I looked at a little bit of Country Music Awards last night. It's not the same.
It's not the
Right.
same. Yeah.
And it's just like you could hear it. Got to be aggravating for a while because you could just hear the formula music. It's like, okay, I was surfing stations and I come back and there's a different artist. It's like I hear the same song.
Yeah.
So there's definitely the overusage of formulas in this music for one thing. And it's bad because that's all these, younger people, especially, that's all they're ingesting is this formula music. And then on top of that, there's no dynamics.
Right.
Everything is compressed and it's like this loudness war going on where everything's got to be loud. You better watch when you turn your station, buddy. You're liable to bust your speakers. Serious. And so you're squashing things that's good music down here somewhere, and so it's all of that going on. And I think it's just a matter of marketing. And I really feel like the young people, they're trying to get back to, I call it old school. I hate that word, but I have to use it now. Getting back into, the traditional, ancestral music, and trying to make something out of that. And, I have a couple people out there that's trying it, but they're not being marketed like the, really mainstream artists. Of course, they put a lot of money into these people, so they got.
Right. Well, I know that Vaughn has a lot to add to that by him being a radio personality with Jazz Beats Radio. So, Vaughn, what's your take on that?
Wow, loaded question.
Uh-oh.
I'll try to be as diplomatic about it as I can. I think it's a tragedy. I think it diminishes all that is good in the art form. I felt though for the last 10 or 15 years, the efforts of the powers that be in the recording industry have taken the essence of what this music has in it out, which is soul. It's hard to find soul in music today, in any aspect, because it's humanity. And if the music doesn't connect to us in a human form, what's the use? What's the use of it being created?
Well, you mentioned soul, like not hearing soul in the music all the way across the board.
Or feeling soul.
Feeling soul. Okay, not feeling soul. That's basically, I think, has to do with the climate today, the world today, the way people are perceiving information today and how they're living through all this. Like we are now in a situation we haven't been in our lifetime when it comes to this situation we're in, pandemic wise. And so therefore everything is taken on a different concept, in feeling. So we're hoping that next year things will change. And the reason why I say next year, even though we know it'll take time, what I'm saying, but you got to start somewhere. And so next year would be, or now would be the time to change. And next year we should be really a little bit more culturally based, trying to keep that uplifted so we can regain that soul that we're not, that we seemed to have lost, or at least put on the back burner. Now, I know as an educator, when you speak, Haywood, you see this all the time, and you see it in your students. How are you able to get them to express themselves in the music?
Well, first of all, I have students that are on different levels, and I have like from 10 years old to about 15 years old. And actually I have a couple of adult students that decide they want to start back playing saxophone. So I just sort of tailor the approach to where they are. Now, my older students that are 14 and 15, I'm introduced them, you know, to jazz. I give them people to listen to. I email them links. You know, listen to this guy, listen to this guy, listen to this guy. You know, we talk about chord structures and so forth. I actually have two that's working on giant steps, believe it or not.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I know they're not gonna be able to play it right away, but they're getting the structure and they're making only a melody playing right along with it, which is a start. Okay, right. And they already know about John Coltrane and so forth and so on, and other artists, you know, Herbie Hancock, Rufus Reed, whoever, you know. So I'm introducing them to that. I sort of soft chew it from, just like a lot of us came along, you know, listen to fusion, and you kind of didn't get straight ahead until you started studying. Okay, now I could hear it, and I know it's gonna be that way with them, you know. So trying to introduce them to Stanley Clarke, a few other people, you know, Herbie Hancock. You say, okay, now Herbie Hancock played with Miles, and this one played with that one, and then let them follow the trail back, you know. You know, of course, you can't make them do anything, but some of them, they just get it and they just gobble it up. You know?
Oh yeah.
It just depends, but that's my sort of my method. I have to kind of meet them where they are. Now, some of my younger ones, they just still trying to get, you know, G scale.
Right.
So, you know, those are just in the 5th grade, and then hopefully they'll get there too. You know.
Well, what's the biggest lesson you've learned, and you know, playing you know, and what lessons did you learn, you know, basically playing coming up, and what musicians or artists did you respect more?
Oh, that's a hard question. As soon as I start thinking about it, my head start clogging up.
Well, I saw the sweat, but
it's like, well, you can go through the whole Coltrane thing. As a matter of fact,
yeah, but
I was like him Cortana more than I was like him Coltrane, to be honest.
Right.
You know, the regular Charlie Parker, Sonny Chris, Sonny Rollins, Sonny Stitt. I mean, all the Sonnies.
Right.
Sonny Fortune.
Yeah.
You know, that's a huge question.
Well, was any of
everybody?
Yeah, was any of them which was the biggest influence as far as
enough now? Don't fall out of your seat, but maybe you won't.
Okay.
When I was 12, I used to always listen to James Brown, all that stuff that, you know, we listened to.
Right. You know, that's cool. Not wrong.
And all that stuff. But the first musician that really hit me and really made me think and want to, like, hey, was Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that either.
No, it's not. Absolutely not. But he was the first one to say, dang, this music thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I had gotten, what's the Miles' Greatest Hits or something? You know, back in the day, you go order those records from the tapes from Columbia.
Yeah, man.
You didn't know you was a kid, so you get them. You probably never paid for them.
Right.
Okay, we leave that alone. But I'm maybe 9 or 10 years old, something like that, maybe. And I had some Miles and other stuff, but I just really didn't understand. I tried to listen to it and everything, and you know, it was just kind of got set to the side for a minute. I gradually understood it later. You know, but I just somehow even back then, I knew I should be listening to jazz, even though I didn't have. And I guess because my uncles, people around me, they were always playing jazz, you know, Cannonball Arley. I told you I learned all the Stanley Turrentine album. You know, my one uncle was heavy into the Crusaders, and I always loved them. You know, Joe Sample, whole group there. You know, yeah, that's a lot to unpack on that question.
Okay.
There's a whole, but I think Jimi Hendrix was the first one to really just slap me upside the head, and it's like I kind of discovered him right when he died. My uncle had a record. I think it was right after he came to Atlanta, one of the last concerts he did. He went and bought this record, and he didn't like it, and he gave it to me. It was Hendrix's Greatest Hits.
Okay.
And it was like, okay. I started listening to it, fell in love with it.
Now, has anybody ever asked you the question, what does jazz mean to you?
Here we go.
It just means expression of life to me. I mean, I guess the whole improvisation thing, for one thing, is like you're just playing you. which I tell my students all the time, it's not that Huckleberry, it's you. You just, and a lot of times I'll take my mouthpiece out and I'll play Happy Birthday or some song and play a scale. I says, look, you see that? No horn, I'm playing all this on a mouthpiece, okay? Okay, so it's you that's playing this music. So improvisation, that's just an expression of what's in you, you know? So it just means expression of life to me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I know that's one of those questions you can get answers from here until eternity.
Till eternity.
You can get real esoteric on that one.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
buddy.
That's right. Yeah, but now in this in contemporary music today, a lot of it is based on more of the rhythm and blues feel than it is the straight ahead feel. Now I know that jazz itself is moving on, you know, even the straight ahead, it's moving on, and it's in another place right at this point. And I'm talking about jazz overall. It's in a different place. So the best thing I think we can do is not fight it, you know, especially as older musicians, is not fight it, just embrace it. And because, you know, it's a journey. And we know that, but what we do know is historically and culturally where it comes from, as long as we got that embedded in us, you know, that's the way I look at it, is I accept the change, I accept the journey, and as long as I know the basic heritage of it and where it was created, how it was created, who created it, and so forth, I'm good with the changes that they have now. Even with the contemporary, what they call smooth jazz now, I can hear that, you know what I'm saying, because at least I know where they are, you know what I mean, in respect to the music itself, you know. So saying that, what do you think about this, the way the technology has influenced most musicians today?
Well, I mean, I think it's great. One thing, it makes it easier to do something on your own. As far as what's going on today, I think that blend is bringing more people into jazz. For instance, Kamasi Washington was one of the younger, you know.
Yeah.
There you go, right there. That
brother
brother
on a couple hip hop records. I can't even call it. I love that record he was on. I can't think of the guy's name. I know it. I just can't think of it. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
Some of these young people might listen to that and say, well, I'm gonna check this, especially people that play saxophone. And then, well, I look at myself, well, I hear my brother listening to it. I'm gonna check, you know, my older brother, and I got a lot of stuff from the older, well, I'm the oldest, but I always looking at other folks' older brother and my uncles. And it's like, okay, well, let me check this guy out. It just leads to something else or something. I'm just turn, you know, everybody likes to turn people on to stuff. You know, so let me turn my friend on to this. Mm-hmm. You know, like I remember back in the day when I was younger, I turned everybody on to Frank Zappa. It was like they were saying, "Well, okay." I said, "I had a bunch of folks around me listening to Frank Zappa too." So,
yeah, I mean, but a lot of good players came out of Frank Zappa. Yeah, I mean, including George Duke. You know, George Duke.
George Duke came out of Frank Zappa. Yeah. That's right. He sure did.
Absolutely. But I guess my point is, the young guys that was around me, they knew nothing about that.
Yeah, right.
And maybe that same thing would happen with guys like Kamasi Washington. Well, even you can go back to the 80s when Bramford played on the
Sting album.
Sting album.
Sting. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, sometimes these are doorways.
Oh, yeah.
That, you know, opens up to other people.
Yeah. So basically, embracing the culture, even in its, you know, even the way it's moving now. Right. I always tell people, you know, not to try to be a hardliner, simply because if you want to do the music for the rest of your life, and if you want to be a musician that is doing music because it's also your way of life, it's your occupation, and it's, you know, it's just the way you survive, you have to go along with change. You have to have that, because if you don't, then what you end up being is sidelined. In other words, you won't be working as much, because if you're a hardliner, you're not going to work acoustically as much. It's just
Right.
that is the reality of everything. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot do the standards and upgrade it till up to today's time and concept and what people are listening to today, what they hear. You can take every standard that has been ever recorded and you can put it in the field that people are listening to jazz today. And it'll still be accepted as that standard, but you got another listening audience that you would have never had, right?
Right.
So the whole thing about the purist, the jazz purist, that's great, but it's like it goes back to what I was saying. As long as you understand where the roots are, then you can understand why the tree grows so tall. You see what I'm saying? Because they're deep roots, and if you know that from the beginning, then all of this that's happening now will definitely be to your advantage because you'll still be on the tree, your leaf will still be green, you know, and you will definitely be in the times that we're in now. You'll be definitely in time. You won't be like a person say, oh, he playing old school. You know what I'm saying? No, old school is new school. It's just the fact that, you know, all of the energy from the old school is what created the new school. You just have to have people understand that, you know. So in all your playing for all the years, do you have a preference as far as you know, the stuff that you would like to do? Not necessarily now trying to put you in a situation to where you say I would rather do this or I'd rather do that. But is there a preference? Can you see yourself continuously as a performer, you know, still out there, like I said, making money doing it?
I mean, at some point, yes. Right now, there's a lot to unpack. But as far as how I would like to do it, I would like to do some type of mixture. I mean, and be able to do a little bit of all, because there's a market for straight ahead.
Oh yeah, there is a market for it.
There's a market for straight ahead. It's not as large as the other market.
Right.
You know, if you can get the right team together and write this, that together, then you can go do it.
Right.
You know, I always like the more funk side of things.
Yeah.
you know, a lot of people falling back on the Herbie Hancock thing, the which never went away. I mean, you know, Crusaders thing, you know, and that kind of thing. Now you look at some of the English pop artists, you know, like Jamiroquai, Incognito, and some of the others, where they've taken all that and just mashed it together.
Yeah,
they have literally. They
literally mashed hip hop, jazz, blues,
Brazilian,
Stevie Wonder's on his stuff.
Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire, all of that.
And I would think that would be more me than anything. To be honest.
Oh, cool. Yeah, but that's the way you stay current. That's the way you progress. That's the way you do it when you want to continue to do music, because, you know, as a musician, you're never going to retire from it willfully. Let's say it like that. It is a spirit. It is alive. So as long as you are doing it, you know, you will definitely have a chance to experience that, you know what I'm saying, in its reality. So another question, this is a little bit different. Now, the influences that you had told us you had on, like one of them was Jimi Hendrix. Now, I can see that influencing you in an improvisational way. You know what I mean? And simply because the improvisationalist is always trying to expand and never really do the same thing twice, right? So I can understand the Hendrix concept, you know, and I think a lot of people, because, you know, if you think about it, back in the day, that Hendrix concept was what people that was doing straight ahead would call avant-garde.
Yes, indeed.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not, even though Hendrix only used basically blues, basic blues changes, but the jazz artist was basically in that same, had the same, let's say, ambience as Hendrix did, with the avant-garde jazz, because everybody was going like, wow, this cat's all over the place, and so I could see that in somebody that admires Hendrix but plays saxophone, but even though it might sound very aggressive, it does have structure. And see, that's a good thing, because you are able to find where the structure is in the music. And that's why, that's why Hendrix was different. That's also why all the cats that played avant-garde were different kind of musicians. They thought out of the box, in other words.
Right.
They just got it and pulled it right up out of the box and say, okay, this is a nice present y'all put in this box for me, but I'm gonna show you how to play with it. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
So I know that I'm waiting to hear some of that from you.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So,
all right.
since you,
I got it's on the stove now. It's on
okay. I know I'm smelling something.
It's at a small. It's just at a small boil right now.
Okay, I can smell it though.
It is on the stove.
Yeah, I can.
In other words, it's simmering. It's simmering.
Yeah,
right now.
but I smell it in the room. As soon as you said that, as soon as I walked in, I said, "Ooh, we got some chitlins on the stove." You know what I'm saying?
Thanks for that, man. I received that, as they say.
Yeah, you got to embrace change, man.
Right.
You got to embrace it, and you got to do those things that, like you said, if that was an influence, figure a way out to make it an influence on your instrument and in your tune. It doesn't matter what nobody else say about it. That doesn't matter. You just have to do it, and make sure that you, like you said, if it's on the stove simmering now, and say, you're going to take the time with it. So get out there and do it.
Well, I mean, just to tag on what you're saying, I mean, everybody, they talked about Coltrane.
Yeah.
They when Herbie I was reading this article not too long ago that Herbie Hancock was in France or somewhere. The Headhunters first came out. They was throwing stuff at him. Can you imagine them throwing stuff at Herbie Hancock?
Right.
You hear that old stuff.
Yeah.
They say he came back the next year. You couldn't get nowhere close to that place. People was hanging off the rafters down the street trying to hear it.
Yeah.
For them throwing stuff at him.
Yeah.
The year before.
Yeah. I mean, and that's all. And that's always the way it is with innovators. The public may not get it the first time because you're really a little bit ahead of where they're thinking. You know what I'm saying? And when you're a little bit ahead of the public, you wait another year or something, it rolls back around, all of a sudden the public loves it. You know what I mean? And they love the artists and stuff, but that's where it starts from. The only thing the artist seems to have issues with is the fact that they pioneered it, yes, but then someone comes along years after and pretty much does the same thing and tried to emulate the same sounds. And just because of that timing, the people just love it. And, there's some players out there now that have been innovators in playing and stuff, and they know that they were the first to do it on record.
Right.
Right.
But,
exactly.
but see, the current generation has taken that and they're making it lucrative for themselves. Whereas that pioneer is still sitting back wondering, man, this is my thing. But everybody else seemed to be making money off of it, So you gotta be prepared for that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that Little Richard thing.
Yeah.
They just
oh my gosh, who went there? Little Richard.
Yeah, Little Richard. Even David Sanborn.
You know what I'm saying? Oh man, for real.
David probably hears more of himself in other people playing than anybody will give him credit for.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying?
He was the one that came out playing that power alto like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always thought, I said, Sanborn, it reminded me of where King Curtis was coming from.
Yeah.
And when King Curtis, I was like, man, I'm hearing the power, and then at the same time, the way Junior Walker was playing his horn with a lot of power and definition.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of power and definition. And like you said, and those guys got to a point, you know what I'm saying, but they never got to the point to where Kenny G got, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, you have to wonder why, even though Kenny G got popular for playing a soprano, you know, he played tenor also, but and alto and all the different woodwinds, but he got popular for that soprano. And it was all a matter of timing. It wasn't so much, you know, it wasn't so much that he was the first to do it. You know what I'm saying? They had already had, I mean, Train had already just blew the keys off the soprano.
Sidney Bechet back
Sidney Bechet, yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
And see, those are the people. When I see you as an educator, you getting your people like Sidney Bechet and Train and exposing them to this before they get saying, well, I like Kenny G. Well, wait a minute, before you like Kenny G, ain't nothing wrong with liking him. I want you to go back and hear where all this started. I want you to go to the roots, you know what I'm saying, and listen to these guys, and you're gonna hear a whole lot of different stuff. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, if they would do that, I know that they would be a lot better musicians. You know what I'm saying? And not afraid to be challenged with the straight ahead at that point. You know, because a lot of the young musicians are challenged with straight ahead because of the changes. You see?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of them, they try to play without learning jazz theory.
Yeah.
Without learning how the chords are constructed, without even knowing all the scales. It's like, dude, you got to know all 15 scales, not the 12. You got the 15. Sometimes you're going to see that C sharp, C key signature.
Yeah.
You can't be thinking the D flat.
Yeah.
You gotta be thinking, right now, you got to be thinking C sharp.
Right. Exactly. Well, some of the, like some of the places, right? Like, do you have any product right now? Do you have anything you're working on or what's going on?
Nothing that I feel comfortable releasing yet. And that's been, I don't even want to think about it. It's just a lot of start, stop. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. The lack of finishing is something that I could be proud of. I mean, I'm just being honest and open.
Well, is that because of?
I mean, I always played with other people.
Right.
Yeah, helping them do their stuff.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's good to a point. You know, just like you say, to a point, that's good now. But and I understand that because I've been in that situation myself, where you making everybody else, you know, happy, you know, and then you get time and you start thinking, well, wait a minute. I'm not happy, so I got to make myself happy. So I got to create music, you know, my music, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you want to leave something back. I mean, you know, even if it's just a little something.
Yeah, got to have something. And sometimes that might take a collaboration, you know?
Well, I was about to say that because my whole thing has been finishing songs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good at starting them. I know how to construct them and all that. But my forte has always just been playing saxophone. And some people forte, they can sit down. I hear about these guys, a lot of pop artists. They said Prince did it, Michael Jackson did it. They even heard, I don't spend time with my wife, I look at TV, right? so we're looking at The Voice. What's the guy named, John Legend. He said they all dream music. Well, like I think about music in my sleep and stuff, but it's like these cats, like they dream music and they sit up and write a song. So they're like natural songwriter where, man, I got to work at it.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because everybody is not a natural songwriter. You can have a player, you know, a good player, but he's not necessarily a natural songwriter. You know, he's not a writer. So that's why I was saying it could also, the reason why you probably a little can't finish is because of the fact that you needed to collaborate with someone. You know what I'm saying? To pull it out of you, you know, not to necessarily try to, get what's in their head, but they pull out what's in your head. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, you need to collaborate with a musician or some musicians that you know what they're capable of doing. Right. That way it's easier for you to go ahead and finish those products. You see what I'm saying? Just surround yourself with those type of musicians.
Exactly.
that can pull stuff out of you versus, you know, you trying to say, I'm going to write for this one or I'm going to write for that one. You know, in other words, I want to write for a drummer, right?
Right.
But the drummer may be the type of drummer that can't necessarily that doesn't really do exactly what you want him to do. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or have that type of feel unless, you know what I'm saying, you give it to him or you know that drummer. So the best thing to do, like I said, is the people that you know how they sound, what they sound like and how they project and so forth in a real scope.
Mhm.
Those people are the ones you want to surround yourself with to finish your product. You know?
Right.
It's just that
Now,
simple.
now, Edwin,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna owe you any money for this psychotherapy.
I thought I heard somebody in the back say the check was in the mail.
you're gonna have to hold it.
Oh, okay. I'll hold it, you know what I'm saying? But I can only hold it for like a few days, you know what I mean?
All
That's
right,
about it.
but I appreciate the insight, man. That was helpful.
Well, that's a good thing.
I take it to heart, you know.
So you got anything coming up? Are you? I think you just did a concert or performance with someone, piano player, right?
Well, I just did a small thing with Maduka Kawahara. We really playing Japanese music.
Okay.
We
Wow.
did
Okay.
for Clayton County this past weekend.
Okay.
Last weekend.
So how did that go, man? How did it go?
It went great. I was playing flute on that one.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I had to take about a week or so to dust my flute chops off, you know, there a little bit. But it went great.
Now, was it a Japanese type of heritage performance, or what was it that you had to play Japanese music?
Actually, it was for Chairman Turner's ball, international ball. This is something like benefit he does. Seems like this was the 4th year when I went on the website to check it out. And it's trying to bring just the international community of Clayton County together. And he gave out a couple of awards, that kind of thing. I guess he's the chairman of the board of Clayton County. And at various hours there, they had a couple people doing Middle Eastern music, you know, different foods from different areas, you know, Spanish food, you know, from different parts of the world, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
We did the Japanese, you know, section of that, portion of that.
Oh, okay. Did she have? Were you on the American musician, or did she have more Japanese musicians, or were they all American musicians?
Actually, it was just me and her.
Oh, okay.
Oh, duet. Okay.
Yeah. We were playing traditional Japanese music.
Okay.
You know, sakura and that kind of feel. You know, the really soft, you know, pentatonic type Japanese music.
Oh, okay. That's great. And that's an experience. So what we're gonna have to do then is get you a platform for that. Get both you and her a platform for that with Jazz Matters, because I know that she's worked with Jazz Matters in her own capacity, doing, you know, her original music, which was the concept of contemporary jazz, and I know that she had done that with Jazz Matters before, but we haven't never done anything like that. Incidentally, Jazz Matters is actually going to have a duet series.
Oh, okay.
So we gotta have to put that on the burner, because that is something that we would want to do since you have done it already with her.
Okay.
You know, so we'll definitely do that, and because we want to try to spread the love, so to say. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
And get everybody involved in this music thing, and all cultures involved as well. The last time I think I had talked to Imran Kotan, which is a percussionist, and he's from Turkey, and he performed for us a couple of years ago, and it was really, really good. He used his own band at the time, and they did very, very well. I mean, he used violin player, you know, some couple string players, bass player, and so forth, and himself. So it was it was very interesting. So One more thing, Haywood, where could people contact you at? How can they get to see you? Are you on the social media platforms? How do they get to?
Well, I'm on Facebook just under my own name.
And your own name is
Haywood Redd.
There you go.
There you go.
And my email address is my name, hayward.red@gmail.com. Call me on my telephone, 770-722-7647.
Cool. Now, Vaughn, anything else you will need to ask Haywood?
I was just thinking about the thing that crossed my mind when you two were just like deep in conversation there. I started thinking in terms of, when we talked about artists being afraid of change, and it made me think, who are those people?
You don't want to know.
No, I mean, the thing is, I know some of them.
I know some of them. I'm not going to call a name.
I know some of them. And what it is, it's almost like, they sit back and they just enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they keep doing it over and over again. 10, 15, 20 years go by and they're still doing the same thing. And I say, and I'm not a big fan of pop music. I'm just not, because it all sounds the same no matter who's doing it. It's like it's locked into this formula.
Right.
And I said, and people ask me, do I like pop music? If I did, do you like this person or that person? And they always come up with Beyonce. And I sit back sometimes and I wonder, I said, out of any musician or vocalist or entertainer that I know of, it's going to be interesting to see how long she keeps up doing what she's doing, because she's not getting any younger, y'all. Mm-hmm. And so I often wondered, what would it be if I was to ever meet her and said, have you thought about singing standards? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever considered singing a Cole Porter song or a Gershwin tune or something, like a remake of a classic Dinah Washington song or something? I know it would be a struggle for her, but you got to learn how to reinvent it. And don't be afraid of change. And I'm listening to this, and usually R&B artists are the most afraid of change because they're so locked into losing their audience. But what would you think it would do if you were to sing these songs, and what kind of audience you would gain? You see?
Right.
That's the struggle that, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, like, who would be most afraid of that? And I said, R&B artists. They don't want to move. Mm. They don't adhere well to change. Right. Because they just want to stay stuck in the same thing, And I thought about Alicia Keys the same way. I said, there's a very talented pianist, and she's not a bad vocalist, but you ain't getting no younger either. So why don't you make that adjustment and make that challenge yourself, grow a little bit. The only thing you can do is grow, Well,
a lot of. Yeah, I think a lot of it is like what Haywood touched on earlier. It's marketing. I
understand that. Marketing thing I get.
Well, let me explain this.
Who's going to make who they going to get mad? The only people going to get mad at them are their management team and their A&R guys and their record.
That's it.
That's it.
What does that got to do with anything?
Well, sometimes these people locked into these things. And when you said that, who I thought about? I thought about Chaka Khan. Yeah, Chaka Khan can sing. And she's done some straight ahead stuff. But it's like,
sing anything.
I don't know if they wouldn't let her do it.
They didn't even bother her.
And it's like, she got stuff out there, but you got to dig for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what if?
Well, that's the mark. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to do some Chaka Khan over here, and I'm going to do some Chaka Khan over here.
Right. Right.
I don't know.
Well, see that what, and that's the marketing thing. Is that the marketing situation is they know that they can make X amount of dollars or got the chance to make X amount of dollars in the pop field versus the jazz field. So what are they going to do?
I'm like this. You can only make so much money.
No, I'm talking about the record companies now.
Oh, I know. They can only make so much money.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. They've been making money a long time. I don't know about that. They don't seem to know that either.
Yeah, they're a bottomless pit.
Yeah, they're bottomless, you know.
Yeah.
but just to have the marketing aspect of it. If they had, let's use Chaka Khan. If they had a Chaka jazz album, which they do.
Well, she did do one.
Yeah, she did do one. And then they had the pop album that she does, or did, or have done. Well, they're going to push the pop album simply because in mainstream media, you got more pop stations. You know what I'm saying? They got rid of all the jazz stations.
That's the thing.
You know, now the jazz stations have basically moved into the internet, you know, and now it seems to be like a gazillion of them, but they're on the internet. Now, when you buy your new automobile, or even if you buy one that's not new, it's going to have an AM, FM radio in it. Yeah. Which means you are locked in to AM, FM radio, which is mainstream, you see. Yeah. If you're going to advance it, of course, you could always get the apps for Siri and all these different internet satellite stations. But that's what I'm saying. It is not the mainstream. You see what I'm saying? Those are just people that, it's like cable. You know, either you're paying for pay TV or you're not. You're going through the air. Right. When it comes to jazz, you're either going to have to pay for it to get the stations to play, for what you like, or you're going to be stuck with AM, FM radio. What do you think about that, Haywood?
Well, I mean, that's the truth of it. And see, I have Sirius radio in my car.
See, you got to pay for it.
You got to pay for it. Let me tell you what I'm finding out, and I just noticed. Sometimes they play the same stuff.
Oh yeah, they've got a loop. Yeah,
they got a loop. And now at least you listening to what you want to listen to, because they have straight ahead jazz station, then they have smooth jazz station right there, and I listen to the reggae station too. A couple other stations I kind of flip around, but to a point they especially during drive time, just like morning and rush hour.
That's a money maker.
Yeah, that's the money maker. So, and that's when you're gonna hear the most loop. Saying like I heard this yesterday at 5 o'clock. That kind of thing. Right.
So talking about a lot of the creativity and so forth, and we done pretty much went through a lot of different aspects of everything. Where do you see the music as a culture going now? How do you see it changing over the next years to come?
Well, I think there's going to be a renaissance. I think America just needs a renaissance, period. but as far as our culture music, and I mean the Afrocentric, African American music, and everything that's growing out of it, I believe I truly believe. I guess I might be being really overly hopeful, but I'm hoping that it's kind of swinging back the other way now. Yeah. Where you have more positive music. I think the gangster thing is kind of dying down, which I feel like was really a detriment on our society to a great deal, more than people really realize. Oh yeah. Because what you see in here really does shape your mind. So I can see. From my observation, and I don't listen to a whole lot of pop music either, but I kind of, I switch around, try to stay a little bit current. Mm-hmm. Then I get tired up and I go back to my straight head jazz station, or to the classical station. Right. But it does seem like that's dying down a little bit. But you can go to some serious radio stations, the hip hop stations, and you have every cuss word you ever thought you could put together. Yeah. And it's sort of worse from the standpoint that it's just about pornography. Well, ain't no just about it's pornography. I mean, you listen to it, it's like, man, I can't even believe this is on the radio. Yeah. I mean, and I know that nasty music, because I'm a historian too. They had nasty music 100 years ago, but everybody didn't know about it. Yeah. Right. And when we was young, I grew up in the 60s and 70s. you know, we had Parliament and all that, you know, and Frank Zappa had some risque stuff too, other folks.
Absolutely.
And unless you was in a certain circle, you didn't know about it.
Right.
You know, people didn't know
It was
about
underground.
Parliament tonight. Like,
A lot of it was underground back then.
it was underground, you know, but now it's like right in your face.
Yeah,
and you got the video to back it up.
So you get it twofold.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Mainstream has become underground.
Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah. So it's like, you know, of course on the other stations they have, you know, they edit out these words and everything, but the teenagers, the young kids, they know what they're saying.
right.
You know, it's really hard to keep them away from it. I got grandchildren that's old enough to know this now. It's hard to keep them away from it. You know.
Yeah.
It really is. But my prayer is that some of that's dying out. It seems like it is. I don't know if it is or just because I'm not paying attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, in the whole thing, like we know that you know, the music itself, it'll never go anywhere. It's just we still want, what we really want is that we want that seat at the table, so to say, on an equal playing field, just as well as what they got out there now. That's where we, you know, we're really trying to push jazz in all its forms, you know, acoustic as well as the contemporary stuff that they're doing now. We want it on equal playing field, you know what I'm saying? Because there's an audience for all of it. But the control is not with the musician, the control is with the industry itself, you know? So they're controlling all of that. And until we can make some kind of headway in turning their heads, you know what I'm saying, into that direction, then we'll still have to fight for it. You know, we're still fighting for it, you know, and that's why organizations such as Jazz Matters is here. It's because we're fighting to preserve a culture and a heritage in jazz music, you know, and we know, and basically based in jazz, but we also respect the contemporary. We also respect the rhythm and blues. We also respect the spoken word. All of that is a platform that we really need all of it on the same plane, on the equal plane with everything else, you know, in mainstream, you know, not just in pay, but in mainstream. That way, culturally, I think we will behave better, you know, because right now, whoa, you know, that's all I can tell you. You know, it's like your behavior is like that because you don't have certain things to even yourselves out. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Children, for the last 40 years, we fill our mind with a lot of garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, when hip hop came out, it was simple. It was either conscious or it was funny.
Yeah. One or the other.
It just morphed into something crazy.
Right. Yeah. So if you had the music to where it can, you know, shape your behavior. Like when you get a room, like any music therapist will tell you, when you get a room full of children and they're all over the place, and you sit down at a piano or something and you start banging out, let's say fifths, cling, cling, the children stop. You know, they'll stop, they'll slow down, they'll stop paying attention. If you hit that interval in fifths, they'll stop. And music in general, you know what I'm saying, will do that. You know what I'm saying? But when you don't have it in schools, you know, when you took it out of public school, you know, that was a discipline factor that they should have kept in. You know, they turned to what? Sports, you know, as being the factor in school.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, sports is not the same. It's a discipline from the beginning of it. But when you get really deep into the sport, it is radical. You see what I'm saying? It is very radical because your sport is to upset the other opponent, you know, in sports. Music isn't like that. You see what I'm saying? But there is a connection between the two. Anyway, it's the discipline itself, you know. So until we can get the discipline back in schools, which I'm talking about music, then we get a lot farther ahead and get rid of some of the craziness the way people think outside, you know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and you, I know you obviously see that as an educator.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, the thing about it is, well, I said hip hop. Maybe I should have specified gangster rap because it's not really hip hop.
Or
It's the
rap, period.
gangster rap. Okay, I have to correct that. But now you can have teachers they're 30 years old. They grew up listening to that.
Exactly.
So they might not think anything wrong with it.
Yeah, and then that kind of ironic. Isn't that kind of ironic?
And yeah, it's like, so, I mean, it's just it is what it is, as they say. But it's like, and I can understand that. That's what they grew up with. You can't fault them for it.
Right. And it's only because they were not exposed to the heritage of the culture.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that's where we are. We bake the cake, but we put the icing in first before we put the cake in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. But anyway, it was great talking to you, Haywood.
Oh,
and,
thank you so much, man.
And I know you had fun because you're laughing all the time.
Oh man, this has made my day.
Yeah, that's a good thing. All right, yeah. and let everybody know where they can get a hold of you again.
Okay, it's Haywood Redd, hayward.red@gmail.com.
Okay.
Call me anytime, 770-722-7647. Just hit me up on Facebook.
All right. And Vaughn, you know what to do. Yes, sir.
It's jazzbeatsradio.com. That is the webpage for the station itself. And you can just pull up that webpage and see all of the activity going on all over the world, concerts and stuff that COVID hasn't knocked out. Of course, I don't know what that could be looking like. We can also go to my new YouTube page, which is called Jazz Beats Radio. I'm sorry, Soulscapes on Jazz Beats Radio. I just started that. And also I can be reached at Instagram at Von Coulter.
Right. You can always hit, I'm Edwin Williams at Jazz Matters. And you can always hit us up at yesjazzmatters.org. And you can donate. We are 501c3 and you can donate there. You can also go and go to the link for, we just opened up an apparel store online. So you can go there and grab a hold of your t-shirts, and Vaughn will model his again, of course. Yeah.
Dang.
There it is. There it is.
Gotta get one.
You gotta get you one.
Gotta get one.
And we want you to like us and subscribe, as well as try to and donate, of course. And Jazz Matters will be having some live podcasts that we're working through now. They're in editing right now, some of them, and then some of them will be right then and there live. So the thing is, we're trying to keep it going. We'll have a bunch of different series lined up. We'll have a duet series, like I was telling you earlier. We'll also have women in jazz. We'll also have, and that'll be jazz women, all female jazz women that's out there dealing with jazz, period. That's one of the things we're going to be doing. We'll be doing also a jazz jam session. In other words, we'll have people coming in and doing, participating in a session, a jazz jam session. So we're trying to keep everybody interested and motivated to jazz. So subscribe to us when you see the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast. Also like us, and we'll be with you next Monday. And we hope that everybody's doing well, staying safe, and please wear the mask if you really want to. If you really want this thing to bounce back as far as entertainment go, wear the mask now. In other words, don't wait till next year. Just wear the mask anytime you go out of the house.
That's right.
And be very careful over the holidays as far as family gatherings and so forth. Wear the mask. And we probably be able to get this thing started much, much sooner than we would expect. So saying all that, Haywood, like I said, it was great, man, talking to you. And of course, we're gonna talk again. And of course, Vaughn, you are the man. So,
well, I do the best I can. That's all I got to tell you.
Well, that's all you need. That's all
That's
you
all I
need.
need to do.
The best you can. All right, so we're gonna be signing off, and we thank everybody. Like I said, you can go to yesjazzmatters.org, and you can click on the. We have a new grand opening for an apparel store online, as well as we want you to subscribe and like us. So until the next time we meet, Haywood, I'll holler at you later.
All right. Thank
Peace,
you.
bro.
Peace.
Peace out.